Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thomas Ruse Bazar with the Poet Warriors. The Bays here. And I just did a film capsule review on a recent film called Nosferatu. And it got me to thinking, what makes a great film? What makes a great book? Of course, this is all subjective, right? Of course it is. My thoughts are not your thoughts. Maybe we do share a couple of items on the agenda. Here comes a police officer behind me. Anyway, interesting. Let's see what he does. He's going to just hang out. All right. I got distracted. Oh, he's making oh, wait, what's going on over there? Okay, I'm going to stop. What makes a great film? What makes a great book? Well, I think one of the things is memorable main character with strong supporting characters. Is that character true to human nature? Is it true to some universal quality that we can relate to? That's number one. I think it's just not enough to have a strong main character. Some people call it a hero, heroine, whatever you want to call it, female, male. This central figure cannot just be enough. There has to be a world of characters, or maybe two or three more that are very strong. I think the supporting is just as and those relationships, right? Number two, I think, a sense of place for me. Of course, I'm not talking music so much. I'm not talking about what makes a great piece of music. I think more storytelling, and music is storytelling, but I'm trying to keep to cinematic art, dramatic art, novelistic art, and it's that sense of story and sense of story. Place, I think place is crucial. Very, very specific sense of place. It does the place serve as almost like a character that is the web, where the characters are entangled in the web of this place, I think is very crucial. I really respond to that, the tactile, the physical presence of a place, and the stronger that is in a story, I think the more effective it can be, and that's what, even taking it to the realm of a great story. What's another aspect? I think how. Look, there's been thousands, millions, billions, I don't know, I'm going over the top, of stories that have told, love stories. How many different ways can you tell a love story? How many different ways can you tell a story on revenge, a story on ambition, a story of coming of age, right? I think the ones that are effective is how you architect that, piece that together in a way that's not just unusual, but is fresh, is true to the creator. There's been so many kind of run-of-the-mill, we can call them classics, we can call them whatever, but if there's a set formula, and I'm not talking about the Aristotelian, 5-act structure, the Freytag's pyramid. Sure, you have that model, but I think within that model of this, structure of, exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, I think maybe, typically speaking, you have that, but can a writer, a creator, a filmmaker take that structure of this pyramid, this way of telling a story and structuring a story, and do it differently in some ways, in a fresh manner, in a way that has different aspects of not just, a lot of times it becomes too predictable. So I'm talking about maybe more unpredictability in the storytelling, in the way you present, in the architecture of it. I think craft, is very, very crucial here. How an artist, a writer, crafts something and expresses that in a way that's unique in some ways, in a fresh, unpredictable. Yeah, I think that's another thing. What else? I think, well, geez, I just had it in my mind. It just escaped. So we have character, we have place, we have the how, the different, right, rhythm, pace. There we go. Number 4. The rhythm and pace of something, the music of it, the flow of it, I think is very crucial to the success, to the effectiveness of a piece of writing, a piece of cinematic art. Is that. And I know I've read in the past when I've read, like, for example, Andrei Tarkovsky and his book on filmmaking. He talks very much about how great films and great filmmakers, they capture a sense of rhythm in the filmmaking. This consistency of that. And I agree. I think rhythm, pacing is very, very crucial. What I don't find so much that is effective, it's a word that everyone uses, is plot and plotting. I get it. I get that there is this connecting the dots, this kind of linearity. My thing is, I don't really, I think too much emphasis, if you look on, generally speaking, cinematic art, literary art, it's too focused on naturalism, on realism. That's how we label it. And I'll be honest, folks, that's boring as fuck. Boring as fuck. That just does not interest me. I am more into the surreal, the sense of maybe blurring the lines between what is real and what is imagined. To me, that's just much more interesting than just straight capturing realistic. We had the 19th century novel. They just totally, what do you call it? Saturated that aspect. That I can't read a straight naturalistic realistic novel. I mean, look, there's people like Zola, Balzac, we could go on and on, the Dreiser. God, it just bores the hell out of me. I can't do it. I cannot read a straightforward, it won't do. Realism is limiting. And that's another thing. I think great filmmaking now, we're talking 21st century, we're talking a new era. It requires more. It requires some speculative, some fantastical, some nightmarish, some surreal. And you can do it if you know what you're doing. And again, it goes back to how you weave it, right? The tapestry, right? The mosaic of it. Because, folks, straight realism, deadly. What else can we talk about? So those are some aspects of it. When we talk about it, is you got, I think, like a fearlessness, a risk taking. Okay, what does that mean? How to define that? Well, I think define is how much are you willing to take, an artist, a storyteller, and stretch, not credibility, but stretch the perception of things and the subject matter of things. Look, there are those who believe that the occult, and look, this guy's staring at me. People are weird. The occult, alchemy, cosmogony are even more real than, they're just as legit. They're just, the world of this kind of magic and spirit are just as legit as what we think of as, hey, we want to define that. We need to understand that. We need to label that. We need to define that. Well, those worlds that I talk about, that kind of sense of the occult, the sense of like if you go really study, just the history of religions, governments, history, going back and really reading not just what they teach. You see, that's another thing. That's what could be very, very limiting if we, are always presented with this sense of this is what great literature is, this is what great cinema is, and it's all that of what I talk about, more realistic, more limiting, more this is, and we are conditioned to believe that, we're in trouble. We're in trouble because there's just so much more. And in going back and really studying and figuring out all the interesting things about alchemy, occult, how different cultures and indigenous cultures, and even like maybe European cultures, certain tribes, Native American, all of it. They're just very, very fascinating ways of telling stories of the reality of things. Where like talking to a cloud, talking to a tree is just as legitimate as talking to another human being, because they are alive. These are alive. They are real, very much in certain cultures, certain epochs of our civilization, right? And I think really going into that and not just, oh God, it's hard for me to watch film anymore because it's just so predictable, so boring. Oh, here we go, really? And if it's all about that, it's all about just some kind of shallow entertainment, if that's even, if you want to call it, that's not entertaining to me anyway. To others, people can think that, but I think great things require great focus. I think great engagement. It does. It requires that level of thought, and there might be some complexity, but it doesn't have to be. I'm not saying, you're talking about these complex things. There could be great simplicity. Great art can be very simplistic in some ways, which is the beauty of, if you could capture that, wow, good for you. Like a poem, right? Language, I think, great, like the use of language in cinematic art. It could be visual language, it could be written with the novelist and literary art. I think language is important. How you syntactically, or visually, place things, construct a scene, a moment, right? A moment that leads into a scene, that leads into an episode, that leads into a chapter, that leads, right? And that kind of, so language, I think the use of language is very, very important in something being, a work of art being effective, aspiring to something greater. I think that's it for my rumination. The reason I'm kind of thinking about all this is last night I went, I ventured out of my house in the evening, and I heard a very interesting talk that really kind of prompted me to do some thinking on this, and I just wanted to share it with you. Well, there you go. What makes a great work of art, book, piece of literature, film? Bays, peace and out.
Tasty.